Back to the Cursed Sword runs, this time starting out with a death montage because I feel like it really suits the mood well. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the series, but at least for right now, I might as well show off some of the trials and tribulations I'm going through in the background of this. Speaking of which, experimenting around, this one is going to be entirely post-commentary, because I managed to get one extremely good run going that I want to show the entire thing of. More specifically, it had maybe the greatest start to any Cursed Sword run, or potentially any run that I've ever had of all time. So, starting out, with the Sun Wukong outfit. Not really my favorite, but here already. 2 times damage Cursed Sword. 2 times damage obviously has absolutely no downside when using the Cursed Sword, and considering the fact that I'm really trying to use the Cursed Sword for each one of these runs, and you know, not just focus entirely on skills or anything like that, that's a very easy way to get a lot of extra DPS. Which doesn't make too much of a difference, at least at the very start, because, well, the Cursed Sword already has extremely high DPS as it is. It does mean that at least I'll be able to take down elites very quickly. You might have seen in the montage that one at least decent run that I had going was ended by a crystal elite shooting me when I went inside one of the cell doors, which is frustrating because, yeah, it's not like those crystals stop shooting because you went in the door. No, not at all. That's going to be something, that's going to be important knowledge for future runs as I, continue to do this whole absolute nightmare of a series. Number 2, as far as the start goes. Invisibility necklace. I said before that I am foregoing all of the usual sort of restrictions that I put on myself when it comes to showcase runs, because this one is just of an entirely different class, and that does mean using the invisibility necklace, which, as good as it is not something that is a complete lock as far as winning the run goes. In fact, I would say that when it comes to normal enemies, it's not really going to help me out too much, because normal enemies already go down so quickly and are so easy to kind of corral into one area. Have them teleport to you and then just trivially take them out with the sort of a massive DPS that the Cursed Sword provides. It's like that's easy to deal with. It kind of, more or less, sort of. Really, the invisibility is going to be good against elites. Now I don't have to worry about running into box elites. Now I don't have to worry about running into crystal elites. And, all of that sort of stuff that are real run killers when it comes to using a Cursed Sword. I mean, yeah, I can do stuff like that, but really, it's pretty easy to just deal with enemies. Besides, I'm also not entirely invisible all the time. Anytime I interact with an object that isn't just opening a door, I'm going to be broken out of invisibility. So it's nice, but it's, let me tell you, there's still plenty of close calls that happened regardless in this run. If only because, I was just also impatient trying to rush into enemies constantly too. You only gotta wait 5 seconds, but 5 seconds still does feel like a long time. All right, number 3, a legendary item. And although I could probably get a lot of usage out of that, replace the shield with it because you can't put the Cursed Sword in the backpack. That's something Motion Twin definitely made sure that you couldn't do. It's like that still would be potentially a pretty huge DPS increase even over the Cursed Sword, which is, pretty great, but it does not scale with 2 different stats, which means that, just going for, I don't need to worry about getting extra health. So just going for maximum, benefit when it comes to a Cursed Sword, a legendary item is a good strategy. We'll see. And then one last thing here. I've already gotten all of the stats in this area. Now I've gotten all the stats that I can get in this area. But there is still one more star enemy over here, which is kind of interesting. Even got a legendary item. However, bam, Philosopher's Stone. This thing is so incredibly rare that you might have never even seen it before. It is worth 75,000 gold. It shows up as a star thing on the map, which makes me glad that I did manage to take the Architect's map at the start of this. Something that I've been doing a lot lately, just breaking open those doors, taking the 100 curse, because whatever, I don't use the homunculus rune anyway, and then just revealing the map immediately if I already have 2 good skills. It's just like taking that and finding that extra just enormous amount of money is going to make it so that I can just kind of freely use potion charges, freely buy anything I want from the store. It's like I don't think I've ever seen such an amazingly good run or such an amazingly good start for a run in Dead Cells, maybe ever. It's like, yeah, invisibility necklace, philosopher's stone, 2 times damage curse sword. It's not going to get much better than this. However, that does not stop me. However, being a rich man does not stop me from dying, nor does being an invisible man. It just means that I have a huge advantage for the rest of the run here. And yes, I did say use potion charges, because here's the thing. Potion charges are not going to be useful for healing health in a cursed sword run, but they are going to be useful for keeping the malaise down. I mean, if I'm not going to be fighting every single one of the enemies, and even if I am, I'll be honest, the malaise goes up really fast, and that means that enemies are going to be spawning next to me. That means that enemies are going to be becoming elites really often. And although that extra bit of health doesn't really make too much of a difference for them, it can still provide them enough resistance to getting hit by the cursed sword to, that was really risky, to kill me anyway. So pretty much, I do think it's actually worth using a potion charge, at least maybe once or twice in these first couple areas, just to keep the malaise counter down a little bit. Keep it, somewhat easy for me in terms of what enemies are actually spawning. Because other enemies, aside from elites that are very troublesome to deal with, are stuff like the bombers, which can find me anywhere and then slam down on top of me, which usually I'm able to dodge pretty well, but can be sort of an issue. And then other stuff like the swarm zombies, which will create a bunch of those flies that have electricity by them, and that just murders you in a cursed sword run. Because all it has to do is teleport to you, and then suddenly, oh, here comes the circle of lightning ready to ruin your day. It's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan. But, if you keep the malaise down, you don't even have to worry about extra enemies spawning and stuff like that, which is the exact strategy that I'm going for here. Aside from that, other strategies that I've been realizing as I've been playing each one of these runs is that, one, yes, just go get frost armor. Go get frost armor, go get as much cooldown reduction as possible. Instinct, go get the Hunter's Instinct and Instinct of the Master of the Arms. It's like everything like that is going to go a very long way in terms of just, as soon as that ice armor runs out and you're already starting to attack a huge group of enemies that you've got kind of corralled up in one position, then suddenly you can just immediately use it again. It's as easy as that. Still not as good as the 100% damage one. Sort of surprising. But then everything else, it's like, yeah, no. Invisibility necklace, even though it's not giving me any of my main stat, is still clearly very useful. And then, like I said, the whole 80,000 gold that I have right now can easily just go into buying not just like a Malaise relief, the cough syrup from the store, but it can also go right to buying more potion charges. It is possible for you to use potion charges when you're cursed, I guess, even if you're at full health. Motion Twin also realized that, yeah, that's one of those extremely specific use cases, but that is one that comes up if you are doing a bunch of stupid gimmicky stupid runs. Like, what else can I say here? It works. It works very well. But yeah, I think you'll start to see that a lot of my mutation choices in the future are going to be Instinct, Hunter's Instinct, and I don't know, something else. Maybe Predator, but the invisibility you get from that is so minimal, I don't know. And it's like I said, invisibility is not that good. Oh, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. You'll get a lot of usage out of enemies losing sight of you and then, just completely not paying attention to you even for just 1 second. But I don't know. It's like maybe there's something that could be better. Something like combo would be able to take out huge groups of enemies even easier, and that's not good. Combo would be able to take out huge groups of enemies easier. God, I don't know. The slowdown one, melee would be nice. Hard to say, though. Here, the one thing that I would be looking for, of course, is ice armor now. I'm going to have to start curating the actual runs that I'm doing a little bit more. Because as of right now, yeah, I mean, again, showcases are supposed to have pretty much everything except everything turned off in one category, but then everything turned on in every other category. But this is not a normal showcase, which is why I should just be like really stripping every completely unnecessary item from the pool that I can. Make it extremely likely that I'm going to be getting cursed swords. Make it extremely likely that I'm going to be getting like pyrotechnics as my secondary item, because shields are still pretty risky. Or at least just like blood shields. I could easily go for a perfect giant fight if I just have really high DPS by the time I get there. And Blood Shield does a lot for taking him down extremely quickly, which is why I think that as far as, you know, trying to chart out what bosses I want to hit, those would be two pretty good ones. I don't know. Obviously, Frost Armor, every single time that I can possibly get it is good. Maybe even Spoiler Item. Spoiler Item is like... It makes it so it's really easy to get flawless fights and just like totally cleave your way through enemies without even thinking about it. It's a lot of... There's a lot of good possibilities still, and I feel like slowly but surely the like, you know, ideal run is coming together. Even though I do think I'm eventually going to end up taking advantage of a lot of the practice makes perfect updates and trying to, you know, go for practice on bosses to the point that I can easily do them perfectly. Because God knows that if Godmaster taught us anything, that, well, you do get to that point. I mean, you can't avoid it if you just force boss fights on somebody over and over like that forever. That eventually you're just gonna figure out how to flawlessly fight like the failed champion, whether you like it or not. I didn't do Radiant mode for each one of those bosses, but I did it for a decent amount by the end there. There was no reason not to. Man. The Godmaster is still such an interesting DLC for Hollow Knight, I think. Just because it's like, man, it really just takes boss rush and, you know, gives you actual benefits for doing it. It's not just for fun. It really is just like, man, you want to see the real ending? Well, hope you get good at a level that you never expect to need to in the game before. And I mean, like this, for example, is entirely like, you know, this is playing the game through like clown methodology. Nobody should play the game like this. Nobody should be like, yeah, the Cursed Sword's my favorite item in the entire game. No, don't do that. There's such a path lies madness. And in the end, it has no goals for you. It's just, you know, bragging rights at best. I committed to doing a showcase of every single item in the game, and that included this one. I knew the risks. I know the complete lack of rewards, but still, I'm not going to recommend it to anybody else. Anyway, getting on here. Of course, I would like to get that other off stat for buffing up potential legendary items. After all, I am going to get a legendary item after the next boss fight, whether I like it or not. Or, well, whether I like it or not, or whether I die, basically. Those are the two options. You're getting it, you die, or you just, for some reason, decide not to go in that door. I don't know why you do that, but sure. I had somebody suggest in one of the comments for the previous episode that maybe after I get good enough to do this, like, even once, that I start putting, like, more constraints on myself. Again, very Godmaster style. Oh, no longer take No longer take legendary items. Choose a different boss route. Stuff like that. I could see a lot of ways that you could really keep injecting more content into the whole legendary or legendary cursed sword run. Why not? But it's like, no, not at least not right now. Said before that it's like, I really don't like perfect play sort of runs. It's so excessively difficult. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe I will find myself really enjoying it by the end of this. No, that's not going to happen. Definitely not. I mean, no. I'm not even going to consider that possibility. Let's be honest here. All right. So, scroll fragment, Guardian scroll up there, but I don't want to risk it. You saw how I blew through the second area, and that does mean that I am pretty low on stats, but the sheer damage that the cursed sword can output is still going to compensate for that pretty well, which is why I was still okay with it. I don't know. It was the idea that, hey, I already got such a good start. I had such a good start that I didn't need to worry about, you know, trying to maximize my stats. I still should have done that. It's like a combination of being too confident, but also too cautious at the same time. What is up with the Sun Wukong outfit? Why do I keep getting that one in this run? I've been a vocal opponent of Dragon Ball in the past. I don't know why the game does not understand that. Well, anyway, here's the thing, though. When we are talking about a like cursed sword run, even 2 times damage, as good as that is as a starting weapon, not amazing. Because you got to remember that the starting weapon of the stuff you get out of the tubes are a plus 187% base damage. So at this point in time, I could be getting, what is it, 250 or so % damage off of something that I'm picking up, and something that's a lot more common as far as an affix goes is like plus 50% damage. So it wouldn't be too difficult to pretty much match the same damage that I'm getting off of this, but with more affixes. You know, maybe the potential to get like open wounds actually working for me. Stuff like plus 50% at full health, which is just trivial to make work. And I would be getting pretty much the same amount of damage. It's just for the first area or so, it's very nice. Diminishing returns do enter into the fold very quickly, though. Obviously, if I got something like a 4 times damage, that's an entirely different story. But, you know, as good as a start, it's like getting just future good cursed swords, I think, is going to be maybe more important than anything else. You run the numbers, and it does come out to just keep upgrading your weapon. Yeah. Obviously, if ice armor is being offered here, ice armor will be being taken. You've already got cooldown stuff, and it's not like... I mean, that's the whole thing. Turrets work out best when you get them tactic scaling. Turrets do not work out nearly as well when it comes to using brutality. They're just not as powerful. Although that could be a fact that I'm still like under 10 stats right now. Flamethrower turret has gone through a lot of changes and isn't nearly as powerful as it once was. Still, you know, enables some good synergies and stuff like plus 100% on burning an oiled target is nice, but that's also a little bit difficult to like look for by itself. Elemental synergies ain't what they used to be. But anyway, obvious choice here is Stilt Village. I mean, like, why would you go anywhere else like this? I would just, like, golems can so trivially kill me down the sanctuary. Besides, also, like, demons and everything, too, are extremely annoying and just obnoxious to deal with. And is staying just out of range of a melee weapon very easily. And then, of course, you know, Slumbering Sanctuary is just full of traps and The very first death that I had at the start of this episode was due to me accidentally, falling right into a ball and chain, which is just, yeah, that's how you do it, but I don't like it. No. This still does have its issues. Invisibility, for example, the worms, the brown worms, weaver worms, I think they're called, do see through invisibility. So that does not work against them. I mean, they go down in one hit from the cursed sword, but if I am not paying attention to any extent, I will die. Just straight up. Additionally, there's a whole, these guys throwing eggs at me all the time, which is not great. Lot of enemies that can attack you at a distance because of the pirate captains and the whole AoE that it works with there, not great. But yeah, it's still the best alternative, I'd like to say. That's just the truth of the matter. I mean, aside from that, I'm also looking to see to re-get up all of my potion charges and have an easy way to clear all of my... to be honest, I should just take one of these things. Wait to clear all of my Malaise later on, even though it's kind of low right now. And flammable oil plus 40%. It would still probably match... Actually, no, it would definitely match the damage pretty well. The only problem is that it would have to be with the flamethrower turret on the ground. And that is... I'm not going to throw down the flamethrower turret at all points in time. So I would lose some DPS against anything except for a boss or a very tough enemy. I'm actually using my my full loadout here. Yeah, that's why I decided to keep the 2 times damage. For now, it's not too much more damage anyway. This is also the point where I am starting to just okay, gotta do full clears of stuff and everything like that. Wait until I get a little bit more Malaise. But until then, it's yeah, I still have 40,000 gold even after buying both potion charges. That is the power of the Philosopher's Stone. Don't expect to actually see it, though. I mean, I see more of those cursed gems than Philosopher's Stones more often than not. But, yeah, it is a rare sight and nice to see when it comes to doing the super gimmicky stupid run like I was talking about. God, it's this is just... Oh, what a nightmare trying to do this whole thing. But it is the last weapon to do at this point in time. There is nothing else past this point. Yeesh. Obviously, the freezing still does work pretty effectively when it comes to taking out enemies. It's just, God, I'd rather just keep the hit, though, more often than not. It would be nice if there was a little bit more of a tell as to when the ice armor is going to wear off. But as it is, it does feel like it's just kind of happens, which is scary. Nope, not down there. I thought that was one of the cell doors, which, it might not work on elites or crystal elites, but it will work on regular enemies. Reset their attack pattern. Can't they just have it, so it clears the crystals if you go in and out of a door? There's so many other advantages that you get when you're picking up stats and everything like that it just feels like, yeah, that'd be nice. Just saying. Invisible guys. Scary, but dealt with just fine. In the future, though, I do think I am probably gonna... Really? To the wall. In the future, though, I do think I am probably going to end up going for, here into the Sepulchre. Look, Sepulchre is not, the best area, but you can take darkness damage without dying. And then to in all likelihood, just, getting Blood Shield and going for the Giant Fight. Because Giant Fight is hard if you don't have, good stats, good DPS, good shield. And the thing is, although, a lot of heavy weapons, survival stuff and everything don't work very well going up against the giant. A lot of heavy weapons don't work very well going up against the giant. Cursed Sword should be doing DPS just fine. And a shield does mean that you'd be able to cycle through phases enough that you could avoid some of the really difficult to dodge stuff. Now, the only problem is going to come with elite, or not the elites, the crystals. It always comes right back to the crystals, right? But if I do manage to take a frost armor in there, at least I'll have one bit of protection, and that might be all that's necessary to make a real difference. I don't know. I mean, it's either that or... I mean, it's obviously not going to be fighting the Scarecrow. Scarecrow's just a bad idea. Like, Scarecrow is... Oh, too many bad experiences with that. Too many runs ended and everything. But if you do have a shield, you can also take out the assassin relatively easily. I mean, Timekeeper. I'm defaulted back to old terminology there for a second. It's just that's still like good DPS. She doesn't have a tremendous amount of health, so good DPS will take her out quick. But I don't know. It would be nice if I still had the tactic scaling curse sword. Being able to go entirely into like a turret build is just so good. Not having to, get within melee range of everything to kill them. But that's unfortunately Motion Twin does not want it to be that way anymore. Oh well. And yes, those last couple enemies were to get the 60 kills. Might as well. Making it through here in record time. No, unless you got invisibility, that's the only thing I care about. Gonna have to do better than that. That said, I think at this point in time, definitely would be worth 100% damage given and taken. That's pretty good. Obviously, I haven't even been using the legendary whip, but still, it's good to have. Yeah, 2 times damage, but it's like I'm still gonna want to keep the shield for now. Really, I should switch that out with the shield and just keep the shield for bosses more than anything else. Because although it's extraordinarily risky, it's like, works. Then, yeah, I think late game, this is basically the loadout that you're going to be seeing. Maybe like combo early game to make sure that I can get through regular enemies and especially like take down bosses easily. But late game, yeah, it's going to be all about like actually chugging potions to get the maximum damage. Scary, but a workable solution. All right. Like I said, darkness does not kill you if you're cursed. So, I mean, with the invisibility necklace, it's not really that big of a deal because I can just run right through. But this is also like a trickier area because of the, especially the corpulent zombies. They mean that you will, they do essentially have like an AoE extremely long range attack with the belly flop, but if they don't see me, they don't use it. That's going to be tricky to deal with, but it's also going to be something where, I don't know, I can probably figure out something to deal with them. It's hard to say. It's like I still think Sepulchre is a good idea to go through. It's like going to be better than the Clock Tower, which has invisible enemies, of course, but God, it's all options from this point get pretty rough. Like really rough. Yeah, obviously if I can just go up from the bottom of them, I can take them out in one volley of swings, but anything else is a bit more questionable. With like, long horizontal not platforms, hallways, it's like taking out the corpulent zombies is going to be a bit more of an issue. When it could always just come down to the classic, like, bait them to attack you, and then, like, go in for the kill, which is how you do it with, like, the bombers and everything, but I don't know. Everything here gets so difficult. At least the stats are good. Not as good as they were back in the day, but, still quite good. That said, I mean, just knowing the difficulty of enemies in this area means that I'm not gonna stick around for too long. Just take out this guy. I don't like Inquisitors being around here. Inquisitors obviously also going to be a pretty big issue, but as long as I take things at least relatively carefully, shouldn't be too bad. I don't know. It's just, I'm starting to get more of an idea of what to do for early game, and it seems like early game is the trickiest when you're still kind of like figuring out a run, when you have stuff like, you know, good cooldown reduction due to the stats, and, you know, of course, the actual protection that comes from having frost armor. It gets a little bit easier. A little bit. But, like, it's never going to be a very easy run regardless of what I'm getting. Even as you can see, of course, like, it's just the amount of enemies that will be able to counter, like, invisibility or stuff like that, mean that, like, Invisible Necklace does not guarantee success. Okay? I mean, obviously, the other thing is that if I do just keep working with Frost Armor, which, again, there's no reason not to, that it's like I can just always throw that on right before going for a Corpulent Zombie if they're in a bad position. And that's going to be probably the plan that I end up going with. Whatever works, as always. Kind of surprising that, like, Frost Armor is still the only thing that does this sort of, like, absolute, you know, that has really good synergy with a Cursed Sword. You would think at this point in time they would probably add in at least 1 or 2 more items that will, like, block a single hit or anything like that, but nah, still not the case. That said, it's a good thing that it works regardless of what your scaling stat is. I want to go for that scroll fragment because all I need is 1 more to get 1 more stat. Is this a good idea, though? That's for you to decide. I think it's probably worth it. But, yep, this is already, like, top tier bad things happening. However, you know, like I said, cooldown reduction, there. Can already put on ice armor again. And that's what it's going to look like late game for a lot of usage of ice armor, I think. That it's like, yeah, I can actually, like, pop it, freeze everything, and then, you know, kill a lot of stuff, pop it again. It's, like, easy as that. I'm sure people looking at the timeline probably realize what's about to happen here, but to be expected. I know I should have gone with the. I have a legendary shield. I should have gone for the giant. What are you gonna do though? It's like it used to be that I could get pretty consistent, like, perfect kills on the Timekeeper, but just the pressure alone made it so that this one didn't quite work out. Roll through that. Good damage, at least. Well, decent damage. And done. Well, next time, see if I can't get even farther.